We don't have the, with Edmonton we had Curry and Messier and Wayne and Anderson, a bunch of guys up front that you could play with.
Admiration is the one thing in hockey you cannot fake. At 63, that is the truth. I understand better than anything I ever did with the puck. I played with great players. I played against great players, but only a handful ever earned my admiration. Not because of talent alone, not because of numbers or fame. Admiration comes from pressure. It comes from those moments when a player forces you to raise your standard, tighten your focus, and respect the game in a deeper way. And when people talk about my career, they bring up the speed and the offense. But none of that means anything without the people who push me, the ones who never let me cheat a shift. The ones who read the ice fast enough to challenge me, the ones who made every play feel real. Admiration in this sport is built on responsibility and consistency. It is built on the players who showed up ready for battle, even on nights when everything felt heavy. I played in eras where the competition was unforgiving. You learned quickly who carried their team, who controlled the tempo, and who understood what winning demanded. Those players stay with you long after retirement. They shape the way you think about the game. They shape the way you remember yourself. Admiration has always been shaped by the environments I played in. Edmonton demanded pace and conviction. Pittsburgh demanded patience and control. Across every team and every season, I learned that the players you admire most are the ones who refuse to disappear when the game gets tight. They are the players who understand timing, who handle pressure without blinking, who treat every shift like it matters. I never admired players because they were popular or easy to like. I admired the ones who carried real weight, the ones who made your decisions harder, the ones who forced you to stay disciplined even when your instincts wanted to take over. Hockey at the highest level exposes everything, and only a few players can stand in that light without breaking. Those are the players I want to talk about, and the first name on my list earned that respect long before the night ended. Number 5, Mike Gartner. Speed. Speed is the first thing people mention when they talk about Mike, but that does not begin to describe the impact he had on players like me. I built my game on pace, yet every time I faced him, I knew I could not take a single stride for granted. His speed was not just physical. It was the way he attacked space, the way he sensed openings half a second before anyone else, the way he understood when a defender was leaning the wrong way. That kind of awareness forces you to stay honest. It forces you to skate with purpose instead of relying on talent alone. Mike played the game with a purity that was rare. No extra noise, no wasted motion. He did not need theatrics or intimidation. His pressure came from the fact that if you misjudged one angle or mistimed one step, he was gone. As a defenseman, that is the kind of opponent who keeps you sharp. You cannot cheat a shift against a player like that. You cannot drift. You cannot take unnecessary risks. He demanded accountability simply by being on the ice. I admired him because he represented the kind of professionalism that lasts. He showed up in shape. He showed up ready. He played the same way in January that he played in April. That is what real admiration grows from. Not highlight reels, but consistency. Not reputation, but reliability. Facing him made me a better skater, but more importantly, it made me a better thinker. Mike understood tempo better than most. He knew how to apply pressure without saying a word. When a player can challenge both your legs and your mind at the same time, you remember him long after your career is over. That is why he belongs on this list. Speed is the headline, but responsibility is the story. And every time I lined up across from him, I could feel both. Number 4, Steve Yzerman. Discipline. Steve was the kind of player who made you rethink what discipline truly meant. A lot of players talk about structure, responsibility, and playing the right way, but Steve lived it every night. When I faced Detroit during his prime, I always knew their pace started with him. He was not loud. He was not dramatic. He simply played with a level of commitment that forced everyone on the ice to match him. That is the kind of discipline you cannot fake. I admired him because he evolved his game in ways most stars never do. Early in his career, he could score with anyone. He had skill, speed, and instinct. But what impressed me came later. When Detroit needed a more complete identity, Steve became the anchor. He embraced defense. He embraced the grind. He embraced the parts of hockey that do not make headlines but win championships. It takes a strong mind to do that. It takes a player who understands that leadership is not about talking. It is about changing yourself for the good of the team. Whenever we lined up against him, you could feel how steady he was. He never forced plays. He never panicked. He controlled his shifts with an understanding of timing that only true leaders have. And because he played that way, his team followed. That is what admiration looks like on the ice. Not flash, not noise, just the quiet truth of a player who shows up the same way on the toughest nights. What stood out most was the way he accepted pressure. Detroit carried massive expectations, and he carried them without complaint. His discipline in big moments made everyone around him sharper, including opponents like me. When you face a captain who is committed to every detail, you have no choice but to rise to that level. Steve earned my admiration because he understood something simple. Talent can win you games, discipline can define your career, and he proved that night after night. Number 3, Dennis Potvin, awareness. Denis was one of the first players who taught me that awareness can be more dangerous than speed. I built my game on acceleration and transition, but whenever I faced him, I learned quickly that none of that mattered if he read the play faster than I could create it. Dennis saw the ice in layers. He understood where the puck was going, not just where it was. That kind of awareness forces you to think deeper and react quicker, even when you believe you are already playing fast. He had a presence that was hard to describe. He did not need to chase you. He did not need to hit you every shift. He simply positioned himself in a way that closed space before you realized it was gone. As a defenseman who relied on timing and angles, I admired that. I admired the intelligence behind every stride he took. When you played against Dennis, you could feel his influence even when he was 20 feet away. He was also one of the toughest competitors of his era, not because he played reckless hockey, but because he controlled the rhythm of the game. If you tried to push pace, he absorbed it. If you tried to slow things down, he adjusted. That balance is rare. Most players can only play one tempo. Denis could play every tempo, and he could shift between them without losing structure. What stayed with me the most was his ability to make you second-guess your own instincts. I trusted my skating, but Dennis made me understand that the game is won with the mind first. His awareness challenged my creativity. His discipline challenged my confidence. Facing him was a constant reminder that true greatness is built on clarity, not chaos. I admire Dennis because he represented the complete defenseman. Physical when needed, smart at all times, engaged in every moment. He elevated my game simply by being on the other side. Number 2, Mario Lemieux, control. Mario had a level of control that no one else in the league could match. I played with great players throughout my career, but Mario changed the way the game felt. When he had the puck, the entire rink shifted. The pace slowed even when everyone else was skating full speed. The play stretched even when space seemed gone. That was his gift. He controlled the game without forcing anything. He played with a calm that made you trust whatever he was about to do. I admired him because he reminded me that hockey is not just about speed or pressure. It is about owning the moment. Mario did that better than anyone I ever lined up with or against. He saw the ice in a way that made the rest of us feel like we were catching up. His patience was not hesitation, it was precision. He waited for the exact opening he wanted, and when it appeared, he made the right play almost every time. Playing alongside him in Pittsburgh gave me a different appreciation for his talent. You could hear the crowd react before anything even happened simply because he touched the puck. And when you shared the ice with him, you felt the responsibility to match his level. It made you sharper. It made you more aware. It made you accountable. But what separated him was the steadiness he brought to the toughest nights. Injuries, pressure, expectations, none of it changed the way he carried himself. When the game felt heavy, Mario made it manageable. When the team needed control, he provided it. That is the kind of leadership that earns true admiration. I respected him not just for what he did with the puck, but for the confidence he gave everyone around him. Mario controlled the tempo, the tone, and the outcome more often than any player I have seen. That is why he belongs this high on my list. Number 1, Wayne Gretzky, intelligence. Wayne changed the way I understood hockey. People talk about his points, the records, the highlights, but none of that explains why players admired him. His real power was intelligence. He processed the game quicker than anyone I have ever seen. Before the puck arrived, before the defense reacted, before the play even looked dangerous, Wayne already had the solution. You could feel it when you shared the ice with him. The game moved at a speed that only he understood. I admired him because he made everyone around him sharper, It did not matter if you were having a good night or a bad night. If Wayne was on the ice, you had to think faster, you had to anticipate, you had to trust your instincts and refine them at the same time. You know, he lifted your level simply by being involved. You know, that is the kind of intelligence that cannot be taught. What stood out most was the way he used space. It was not just skating. It was the way he drifted into areas that did not seem dangerous until the puck arrived half a second later. He forced defenders to make choices they were not ready to make. He forced teammates to be alert every second. When the puck touched his stick, the entire rink shifted in expectation. Playing beside him in Edmonton shaped the way I approached the game for the rest of my career. You learn quickly that hockey is not only about speed or strength, it is about clarity. It is about reading pressure before it arrives and creating options where none seem possible. Wayne did that better than anyone in history. But what earned my admiration most was his consistency. Night after night, team after team, arena after arena, he brought the same vision and the same commitment to making the right play. Greatness is often loud, but Wayne's intelligence was steady and precise. That is why he is at the top of my list. He did not just play the game. He understood it at a depth the rest of us could only chase. Looking back now, admiration is the thread that ties every era of my career together. Mike Gartner pushed my speed. Steve Yzerman showed me the value of discipline. Denny Potvin reminded me that the mind can win shifts before the puck even drops. Mario Lemieux taught me the power of control in moments when the game grows heavy. And Wayne Gretzky redefined what intelligence looks like on the ice. These 5 players did more than compete against me or beside me. They shaped the way I understood responsibility, pressure, and the true demands of the sport. When you retire, the noise fades. The applause stops. What remains are the players who made you better, the ones who forced you to respect the game in a deeper way. That is what admiration means to me. It is earned quietly, it is earned honestly, and it stays with you long after you step away from the rink. So if you ask me who mattered most, these are the names that rise to the top. Because hockey is not just about what you achieve, it is about who shaped the journey.